Learning from the Legends is a free educational series produced by the NAA to share the professional experience and knowledge of some of the association's foremost experts and industry veterans. We're excited today to be joined by Don Shearer. Don Shearer is known in the auction industry as the auctioneer, that's EAR, after spending 35 years as the auctioneer for Walt Disney World, where he received the Distinguished Mickey's Medal of Honor. The former U.S. Army policeman graduated from the Worldwide College of Auctioneering in 1985 and has conducted auctions in real estate, government assets, business liquidations, art, collectibles, sports memorabilia, benefits, and more. Don currently serves as the chairman of the Florida Auctioneers Licensing Board, as well as on many charitable boards in his community. He previously served as the Florida Auctioneers Association president in 1992 and NAA president in 1997. He's also a past president of the National Auctioneers Foundation and served on the AMI Board of Governors. Don was inducted into the NAA Hall of Fame in 2000. Thanks for joining us today, Don.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Don, it sounds like you've been in the industry for quite a long time. You have a long and respected biography there. How did you first get started in the auction business?
Well, I was working with the Walt Disney Company, and they decided that they wanted to sell all of their surplus equipment and personal property, and I had no knowledge of how to sell it. They wanted me to sell it, so I got to looking at auctions and decided for our company that the best thing for us to do is take our personal property to auction to get the best value of it and to be able to move it as quick as we wanted to move it. We thought auction was the best method of marketing.
Very good. Was there anything, when you started out in the business that you wish you had known that you know now?
Yeah, the most thing, I think the number one thing for me was product knowledge. If you don't know what you're selling, you're not doing any justice to your seller or to your buyer or even to yourself. You really need to know what you're selling. I had two specific incidents early on where the lack of knowledge was quite detrimental to me in an auction I was doing. The first one was selling one-of-a-kind dolls. Now, I didn't know anything about dolls, but we were selling dolls, one of a kind, and they would sell between $30,000 and $40,000 a piece. So since I had no knowledge, we hired a representative from Sotheby's Auction Company to come and provide the knowledge that we didn't have for the auction of these one-of-a-kind dolls. And the second one was selling construction equipment. I was a contract auctioneer selling construction equipment, and I started this front end loader, the bucket on the front end loader, and I started it too low. And the seller, the owner, he was furious that that bucket started so low. Even though it got up and brought what it shouldn't have been started that low. So I think product knowledge is one of the things that I really was lacking when I first got started that helped me after I developed that. And to respect the sellers and buyers. I think that you have to respect both. Without a seller, you don't have an auction. Without a buyer, you don't have an auction. So you have to respect both of them, and it took me a while to learn that. I thought I was working only for the seller. So, and another thing is you never have a second chance to get a first impression. That first impression you make is very important. You live and die in your business by your reputation. You're not going to get a second chance to get that first impression, and that first impression may be the thing to get you a job or get you an auction.
When you're thinking about that first impression, what are some important things for auctioneers to keep in mind? What are some things they can do to make that first impression a positive one?
Well, it's how you act and how you look. You have to be professional about what you're doing, and as Disney always said, you're always on stage. Everywhere you go and what you do, people are watching, and they see what you are and they see what you do, and what you do is what you are. So it's very important for you to always know that you're on stage, people watching, and they may be wanting to hire you to do an auction depending on what they see. So it's important for you to know that even if you're out working in your community or you're at a school giving a presentation, You know, you got to make a good presentation and realize that people are always looking.
Mentorship can be very critical early in your career. Who were some of the people that influenced you at the beginning, and how did you make those connections?
I was working as a contract auctioneer with a construction company, and I was on a team with a leader named Chuck Cumbra. Chuck was out of Brush, Colorado. Chuck was one of the most professional auctioneers that I think I've ever met. He was also an auction school instructor. But Chuck helped me so much. He could take an argument between two people and settle that thing and have them both hugging each other in no time. He could resolve a situation from the auction block quicker and easier than anybody I know. He was so smooth. He had the best auction chant, and he helped me so much working with him and helping me with my auction chant. He was always free to give me information and give me pointers, and he would criticize me too, and when I needed it, and that helped me a lot. Also, Sherman Hostetter from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, him and I worked together quite a lot, and he taught me a lot too. And he taught me a lot, helped me with contracts, and his contracts and auction contracts was very good. And early on, he was able to help me to be able to do my contracts and be able to do them more proficient.
Okay. And Don, what do you consider some of the greatest successes of your career?
Well, I think the greatest success was working with a nationally known major corporation and being their auctioneer. Another great success is being part of the auction family. I mean, there's auctioneers from all over the world that have been so kind to me and friendship and being able to help me. Being able to give back by teaching at the auction school has been somewhat rewarding for me. You never know, what you're going to find or what will happen at an auction. Some of the greatest moments and funnest moments happen spontaneously. And I was doing an auction at Disney one time under a large tent. We had a big row of portalets that people could use. And I was selling an item, and I noticed that a lady had her bid card flashing out the door of one of the portalets. And I didn't know if she was bidding or what, so from the block I announced, "Ma'am, if you're bidding in that portalet, wave your bidder card twice." And she waved twice, and she was actually bidding. So you never know what's going to happen in auction. That's the good thing about it. You never know what you're going to come across. I don't know if you remember the old song, "The Old Violin." Talking about knowledge and not knowing what's going to happen at your auction. To me, those are great success stories. And that old violin, when they found out what it was and the knowledge about that product, it sold for a lot more than it would have. So those are some of the things that I really enjoy about the industry and what I consider to be my greatest successes.
Do you have a favorite thing that you've ever sold at auction?
Well, let's see. There's so many. I did sell a racehorse once. I thought that was pretty intriguing. Sold a teddy bear for $54,000. I sort of enjoyed that. Sold a complete antique shop, which was a lot of fun. So I don't really have any one particular thing, but I have a lot of good things, good memories of things that we've been able to sell at auction.
You talked about it a little bit, and I'm going to ask a little bit more. We found that many of the Hall of Famers attribute part of their success to their involvement in the NAA and into the auction industry. How has your involvement in the association helped you as an auctioneer?
Well, I'm not a second or third generation auctioneer. I was a first generation. Disney put me in this business, and no one in our company knew anything about the auction business. So whatever I learned and used is the only thing that I could use to help me. So I joined the NAA, and they provided me a lot of professional knowledge and networking opportunities with people that were able to help me so much. And I learned from their mistakes that I wouldn't have to make some of the mistakes that they made. They would share that with me, being aware of new trends in the business and new license laws come from the NAA. They do a lot of seminars and things that help me stay abreast and be on the cutting edge of what's happening in our industry.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you think new auctioneers should know, or anything people in the middle of their career, any advice you'd want to give to them?
Yeah, for new auctioneers, I'd just say be prepared, have confidence. Know what you're doing. If you're new, you're going to be excited. I still get excited every auction I go, but you try not to let it show. If you're selling something and it goes too high, I get excited about that, but I try not to let it show. I try to stay professional, let the people think and know that they're getting a good deal and that the seller's getting a good deal too.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Don. We sure appreciate it.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you, and good luck to all the new auctioneers coming on board.
Before we end today's session, a couple of closing notes. We'll be back next month with a new installment in the Learning from the Legends series. You can access past sessions at auctioneers.org/legends. Thanks again for taking part in today's NAA Learning from the Legends. We'll see you in April.